Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
How does it rain? I mean, prepare something that will allow us to do what we want.
No, tengo que ir a ver eso.
Well, not right now. We have, we can't see what they're saying. I tell a lawyer, we'll do it next week. But it gives us an opportunity to hear what
Hey, question. What's going on? Hey, this Marcus said he would be here. You know about this, right? Which one? The position.
Yeah, it must have been a screw up. The only thing I had
How
told
you doing?
Marcos is that every time we have a create, it looks like we're creating a job. And that's why I wanted to make sure that he explained to the house that we're not, in fact, we're not creating any jobs.
It's the same people that are working. Did he already meet with them?
I don't think he has, but I was going to make sure that Valdez says for the record, so then even if we don't, they'll understand that we're not creating jobs at all. This is okay. So hopefully we'll get that straightened out. Where is Marcos?
He's at the office. He said he wasn't sure if he was coming. Something, he was working on the financial.
Oh,
They're due today on the 15th.
that's right.
Hey, Judge, how are you?
How you doing, Chris?
Good. Mr. Craig, how are you?
Doing fine.
You want me to call him?
No, that's okay. It's okay. I'll explain. I'll explain to him.
Probably de aquí en Cali te van a hacer tres. Ya.
Hey, Frank.
Nothing up here.
No, what's happening?
I'm ready.
I'll make sure that everyone's
Let's see what her comments are.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good morning. We want to welcome you this morning to the Drainage District Board of Directors meeting for today, January the 15th, 2013. Present are Commissioners A.C. Cuellar, Precinct 1, Palacios, Precinct 2, Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Is there anything under open forum?
Yes, sir. I believe we have one individual signed up.
All right.
I believe Townsend.
I don't have the list.
I'm sorry, sir.
Ms. Townsend, good morning.
Yes, I'm Virginia Townsend, Precinct 3. I'm always asking Godfrey about his company and stuff because I got 4 phone calls recently about the extension of this contract. And there are some, I believe it's 5B on the agenda. There are some crazy tales out there about money and how much Integ is getting or how much Godfrey is getting or whatever. So this time when you do this, don't just pass over it. Give us details so I won't have to, I
Well, we're
don't,
going to talk about that in a while, if you don't.
yes, I know. And I just wanted you to realize there's a whole lot of interest about it, and it's, I'm torn because I like Godfrey, and it's not personal, it's strictly business. But we've got to have some answers for the people, because they're really got some crazy stuff out there about him getting $2 million and stuff. So you got to get all this straight and make it very clear to the people. Thank you.
Yes. And our consent agenda, any concerns?
Judge, we have the check register with no concerns.
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, item 4.
Item 4, request exemption from competitive bidding requirements under the Texas Local Government Code Section 262.024A4 for the provision of professional engineering services required for the following projects. In Precinct 1, Hidalgo County Drainage System Number 1 / Precinct 1 drainage improvements. In Precinct 2, Radel Drain Reroute, Rural Drainage Development Program. Precinct 2, Alamo Expressway Drain / South Floodwater Channel. In Precinct 3, Rural Drainage Development, Mission Lateral Control, Mission Inlet Recertification. In Precinct 4, Weir Systems Rehabilitation Project South Main Drain, Weir Systems Rehabilitation Project Main Floodwater Channel, Rural Drainage Development Program Precinct 4, North Seminary Estates, Edinburgh Stuff / West Main Drain Control Structure. These are the projects we're requesting exemption on for proceeding in selection of engineers.
Move for approval.
Now, Godfrey, are these projects that are going to be covered with funds from that drainage?
All of these projects are the bond
Bond
referendum projects, but they're not all of them. There's still more to be coming down the system.
I'd like for you to explain what the procedure will be in the hiring of the different professionals and contractors.
Yes, sir. Basically, the process, Judge, we've gone to the engineering pool. We've submitted it to each one of the commissioners with a list of projects in the precinct. They've gone from the pool and requested a set of 3 engineers to be ranked for each one of the projects they've delineated. They provided the ranking, resubmitted the ranking to the district to put these items on the board for the board's consideration.
How many different engineers are you looking at?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on this first round.
By 11, you mean the ones that are going to be recommended to be hired?
Yes, sir.
And how many different engineers do we have on the pool?
We probably have about 18 to 20 different firms on the pool, sir.
And in your opinion, are all these different firms qualified to do this work?
I think all firms are qualified, yet some firms have a specialty item that they're more familiar with certain areas or certain type of projects, and that's where your ranking comes in and going and looking at the firm that's there.
I'm trying to figure out a way where we can get more engineers involved, and I got no problem with the ones that have been selected so far, because it looks like it's pretty well spread out. But we've got how many more projects left?
We're about halfway through with these projects, Judge, and also understand that these firms that are selected here, some of them probably have other firms that are subs to them also. It does not mean that
some of them are what?
they might have other firms that are subs that work with them underneath these projects.
Well, what's the procedure in selecting them?
Basically, the consultant engineer, talks to different firms to come in. Either they might come in and help them surveying, or they might help them come and do geotech work. So that is part of the process.
Well, I don't want to leave it up to chance. I want to make sure that when we vote on it, that we know who's going to be the professional that's going to be hired, and what subcontractors are being considered are going to be hired by that professional or by.
Usually when the firm comes in and starts negotiation with the board or whoever y'all decide to negotiate with, they have a list of whatever firms are coming in there with them.
Because the reason I'm making this an issue, and that's really not, I mean, I think you've got it pretty well spread out, but how can we assure the other firms that they're going to be really considered for one of the remaining projects?
Basically, the commissioner, the board of directors goes through the selection process, Judge. We do not. We submit the projects to the commissioners, and the commissioners from the engineering pool selects the firms that they want to consider in grading and ranking.
And who are the members of this committee that selected the different engineers? Is it just the commission?
Each precinct did their own grading and ranking.
If I just wanted to understand why you left the judge's office out.
I brought it up before this board, Judge, probably about 3 or 4 weeks, and it was discussed and submitted to the to the precincts. I'll be more than happy to bring the copy of the tape to you.
Judge, and I have no problem whatsoever, whether that's a rural development project or a bond project, to work with your office on the selection process. I have no problem with it. I have the same objective that we employ as many firms out there as possible.
Okay. I mean, I'd like an opportunity not to vote against anybody, but to include more people. I mean, I think these funds were part of those stimulus funds. I think they're being considered, and if we're going to be stimulating the economy, we need to spread it around, spread the jobs around, the projects around, so that more people have an opportunity to, well, to make a living out of whatever jobs we have out there.
Whatever the board wishes, Arthur.
I'm not sure how the other commissioners feel about this
I
issue.
have no problem if you could provide me with a name in your office that would be participating in it.
Well, it'll be myself.
That's fine.
Okay. And I'm going to be selecting from
Excuse me.
the names of the people that were
Excuse me,
named in the
you will
pool.
be part of the pool that will be reviewing it.
Right.
You will not go in as having a stronger voice than the other ones.
I'm not trying to change what.
No, no,
what
I'm just trying to explain to you how it works.
Well, I know how it works, but you got to understand, this is not a road and bridge project. This is not something that because it's in your precinct, you're the only one that votes on it. This is a drainage district
Well,
project
I don't-
where all of us have an opportunity to have a voice.
Sure, but what I'm saying is, I have no problem if you're part of the scoring committee. I don't have an issue with that.
Well, what was the procedure that was used in selecting precinct 2 individuals? Let me check. Who did the scoring for Gutierrez, Tetsi, and Half?
Raul,
And who else?
there were I believe three people in the office. on the
And
staff.
in what office?
Is Raul here?
I'll take.
Raul, can you come forward, please?
Yes, sir.
All right. In the selection of, in this case, the project's Rural Drainage Development Program Precinct 2, the firm of Gutierrez Engineering was selected, and I was just trying to understand the procedure that was used.
Judge, if I may, there was nobody selected, they're only
Right.
ranked.
I just.
They were just ranked.
Sir?
They were not selected, they were ranked.
The court will make the selection. What we did is we received, and I think all the precincts received the packets, the statement of qualifications from the engineers. In our precinct, what I do is I put a panel together. We have some of our people in the office, and we can review the information that's provided in the packets in terms of staffing, the amount of people that are going to be dedicated to the project, that sort of thing, and it's a judgment call.
But all of the members are employees of Precinct 2?
Yes, sir.
I mean, there was no ranking done by the members of the court?
No, sir, we do the ranking and the court makes the selection. That's the procedure that's been in place.
No, the ranking is going to be made by the court.
Right. All we did is
A recommendation.
the scoring.
From the scoring committee.
Well, my only issue is the committee. I mean, there was no, if the committee was composed of people that are within Precinct 2, there was no input from other members of the court. The committee should have been the members of the court and not just the employees of Precinct 2.
But I think the same thing happened in precinct 1, precinct 3,
That's the
precinct
point.
4.
That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
singling you out, just Commissioner Palacios was the one who asked the question. But I'm just trying to figure out a way where I can have some input, and the input that I would like to have is to be more inclusive, to allow more engineering firms and contractors an opportunity to participate in these projects. And I'm trying to figure out a way, maybe you can help, Godfrey, in making a recommendation that would allow county judge's office to have some input into the selection of these individuals.
Basically, Judge, the way the board has been doing the grading and the ranking since day one that I've been here, that's usually the way its process is. It would be up to y'all as a board to consider which other additional form y'all want to consider ranking.
Well, I would like to have some input. I'm a member of the Drainage District Board. There is no such thing as road and bridge. I'm trying to come up with a proposal.
Judge, I think what can be done is if the court agrees, where the court members would do the ranking, I believe that'd be the only other way, and then we'd come out in court and select. But that would be each individual member of the Drainage District Board to do the ranking altogether. That'd be the only other way to include you in the process, unless there's another methodology to follow.
The item would be, if the board goes that route, that each member of the board get a list of projects. They call back, and out of the 20 engineering firms or whatever we have, each board member selects 2 or 3 out of there, does their individual ranking, then you pool them together. Some board members might have the same firms, some board members might not have the same firms.
Maybe, let me suggest something, and I'm thinking about what Raul stated that they do in his precinct. If the court would consider, see that what's being done is the projects are being divided depending on where they're going to be worked on. And every one, I'm sure in precinct 1, it was precinct 1 staff, precinct 2 staff, et cetera, that did the selection or the ranking. I would like for an opportunity to have some projects set aside for the county judge's office to have its own staff do their own ranking, I guess, to be considered. And I'm trying to become more inclusive. I'm going to be considering individuals or firms that have not been considered. I'm not trying to undo these 10 or 11.
Well, Judge, if I may, I've offered for you to be part of the selection of the scoring committee for precinct 2. You personally.
Well,
And Judge,
that's not, I want to have the same rights that you have. You were allocated 2 or 3 projects. I want to have allocated 2 or 3 projects, and that I can do the same thing that was done in your office, do it in my office, and that way try to at least get 2 or 3 firms that are not normally considered to maybe get some of these projects.
And in keeping up with the discussion on this, I think it would be properly precinct 4 would give us the benefit of how they did the rankings, and also precinct 1.
Yeah, for the record, precinct 4, it was staff that did the ranking. We did not rank all projects. I think we've only done a couple. I have no problem picking the ones that we haven't to allow the judge to select for those. I know the judge is going to be, his methodology is going to be feed as many. That's my MO. So I have no problem identifying what has not been selected for the judge's office to go ahead and select on those. On the road development projects, those are going to be another set of projects. I mean, the bond projects are a few for us, but the bulk of them is going to be the road development ones. But I have no problem working with your office as well.
Well, if you would consider just picking out an equal amount of projects for the judge's office, and you guys decide which ones, and let my office decide, or do the ranking.
Well, the only thing here, Judge, is I think you have to go precinct by precinct, because again, there's probably more projects. Everyone doesn't have equal projects. Yeah, they're all different.
I don't want to interfere with what you've already done.
Okay.
You know, that should be voted on, but we have another, what, 10?
Probably so, Judge. There's still some more control structures. There's some more pump structures. There's some Colonia projects. So there's still funding in different areas.
Godfrey, if you take just precinct 4 right now, we're letting 2 rear structures, 1 control structure?
Yes, sir.
What's left?
We probably have about 2 other control structures in your precinct, Commissioner.
Okay.
And then a list of numerous rural drainage developments that you want to do.
Okay, so let's give the judge's office the 2 other control structures.
Okay, sure.
And then I'll work hand in hand, because we still don't know how many projects we got on rural development. That's
correct.
still in the making.
Okay.
And then we'll work with the judge's office on that.
How many projects would that be?
It'd be 2 total projects right now for the control
Okay.
structures out of precinct 4. And then when we cross the bridge on rural development, we'll get with your office and figure out how many projects there are and figure out who hasn't gotten work yet. Go
All right,
from there.
and then the ranking would be done out of my office? Okay,
You
that
asked
sounds
for
fair.
Precinct 3, how the ranking was done.
All right, sir.
I think what it is grading, not ranking, right? The
Grading, yes, sir.
The grading that is done by each office.
Right.
Okay.
The grading is done, and then it's presented for the board for their ranking and selection.
All right, we have a motion and a second requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under agenda item number 4. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The presentation of scoring grids of the firm graded and evaluated through the district's pool of professional engineers in connection with professional engineering services required for the above listed projects. Precinct 1, HCDD number 1, Precinct 1 drainage improvements. TEDSI infrastructure score 100, S&B infrastructure 96, Danamom engineering 95. Precinct 2, Radel drain reroute, Meldon and Hunt 95, Danamom 93, R. Gutierrez 91. Precinct 2, rural drainage development program, Ramiro Gutierrez engineering 91, TEDSI infrastructure 90, half 89. Precinct 2, Alamo Expressway drain south floodwater channel, Ramiro Gutierrez 91, half 89, Javier Hinojosa 86. Precinct number 3, rural drainage development, LNG engineering 99, Javier Hinojosa 90, Quintanilla Hadley Associates 88. Mission lateral control, Javier Hinojosa 98, LNG engineering 95, Quintanilla Hadley and Associates 88. Mission Illa recertification, LNG 99, Javier Hinojosa 90, Quintanilla Hadley and Associates 88. Precinct number 4, Weir Systems Rehabilitation Project South Main Drain, Entech Civil Engineering, Inc., 96, Quintanilla Hadley Associates, 88, MEG Engineering, 88. Precinct 4, Weir Systems Rehabilitation Project, Main Floodwater Channel, S&B Infrastructure, 95, Meldon Hunt, 93, Danamom Engineering, 93. Precinct 4, Rural Drainage Development Program, North Seminary Estates, Quintanilla Hadley and Associates, 95, Rio Delta 93, R. Gutierrez 90. Precinct 4, Edinburgh Stubb, West Main Drain Control Structure, Guzman and Munoz Engineering 93, Pettis Consulting Engineering 91, TEDSI Infrastructure 91. Those are the scoring grids for the projects listed above.
You need a motion, Godfrey?
We request approval of the scoring as listed.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C, request approval for the,
There's a couple of instances where they're ties. You're gonna have to pick,
They're
you're gonna
not-
have to select the number 2 and number 3 in a couple of.
Where do you see a tie, sir?
There's one tie, but what I was thinking, well, if we're gonna, the next item on the agenda is to authority to rank, to negotiate with the highest ranked firm. If that negotiation is not successful,
Okay.
it'll have to be brought back, and then it'll have to be we'll draw by lot to the
What
2
is
and
it?
3.
There's a couple of them, Judge. A project for Weir System is a Meldon and Hunt got a 93 and Denenbaum's got a 93. And also, Pettis Consulting, yeah, and TEDSI's got a 91 under Edinburgh Stubb.
Okay.
But we can take care of that if the ranking, with the negotiation, if the number 1 ranked firm is not successful and comes back, we'll draw by lots for 2 and 3 in that
All right.
situation.
may I proceed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. A request approval for the Hidalgo County Drainage System 1 to negotiate professional services contract with the number 1 ranked firm listed above for the provision of engineering service for the following projects. Precinct 1, Hidalgo County Drainage System 1, Precinct 1 drainage improvements. Precinct 2, Radel drain reroute, rural drainage development program. Precinct 2, Alamo Expressway drain south floodwater channel. Precinct 3, rural drainage development, mission lateral control, mission liner recertification. Precinct 4, weir system rehabilitation project, South Main Drain. Weir system rehabilitation project, main floodwater channel. Rural drainage development program, Precinct 4, North Seminary Estates. Item 4, Edinburgh Stub West Main Drain Control Structure. And if we're not successful with the #1 rank, we'll proceed as recommended by legal counsel on drawing on straws where we do have a tie on the rankings.
We'll have to do that back in open meeting here.
Yes, sir.
Need a motion to approve?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 5, resolution authorizing Hidalgo County Drainage District #1 to submit a grant application to Texas Water Development Board or a flood protection planning grant. We came before the board several months ago and requesting authorization to move forward with a grant application. This is for the update of the master plan. At this time, we're submitting a resolution for consideration and submittal to the Water Development Board of said application.
Who's going to prepare the application?
We're preparing the application.
In your office?
Yes, sir. We're preparing an application, and we're being helped at no cost by Dr. Darren Lee in filling out whatever technical items we need on the application.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 5B, extension of management consulting agreement between Hidalgo County Drainage District #1 and Integ Corporation for an additional one-year term as provided in the existing contract. This contract is the contract that my firm represents in providing management services and assistance to the Drainage District. With a 4-year contract, we have 1-year extension on the contract, and we're presenting to the board for their consideration for extension of that contract. My contract expires at the middle of February, and I'm here for the board to try for y'all to consider the extension of 1 year. I'm here to answer whatever question the board may have.
Godfrey, just a couple comments before we vote on it. Obviously, I've been the liaison commissioner working with you all. I know that we're very in need of your service. You've done an impeccable job in the years that you've been the Drainage District Director. Couple of questions. So it's just an extension to the contract?
Yes, sir.
In there, obviously, I want to go back to Virginia's question, whether or not there's a percentage on anything dealing with bond dollars or anything like that.
The contract has a percentage for any projects that are constructed through the bond referendum, and that is whatever is built. If it's not built, I don't collect anything for the management of the project. We do not collect any type of fee for any land acquisition that the district comes in. We do not collect any fee on the buying of resources from the precinct. So if we were to collect any percentage of fee, it would be on whatever is built within the 1-year term of the extension. If nothing is built, we collect nothing. I do have a salary associated with it, which is about $110,000. That is my yearly salary. It's paid out monthly. You do not provide any retirement. You do not provide any insurance. You do not provide anything for the district, from vehicle to gas to retirement. If you break it down from that, I probably have a salary excuse me, of about $80,000 a year if I would be an employee by the district.
What is the percentage, Gemma?
It's 1.5% of whatever is constructed for the program management and the general management of the project.
Now, to avoid the misconception, I know we went out for a bond referendum for $186 million. Of that, there's no way, obviously we shouldn't even be focused on the 186. We're looking at 86. A lot of that, the buybacks and stuff like that, realistically, you're asking for a 1-year extension. What are we looking at in building of structures within that?
I would say you would probably build about $20 million to maybe $25 million over a 12-month period. And that's all depending also if we're able to get whatever permitting we need from the IBWC. And again, the project might not be completed within the 8 months. And at the end of the term of my contract in 1 year, if it's not built, I don't collect.
Now, Godfrey, just a simple recap, what your role would be starting these projects, how much time you're invested. I understand that it's critical that we have you as part of the
Yes, sir.
Part of the
Basically, Commissioner, when the bond referendum started moving forward, I removed myself during discussions. I'm no longer part of the RMA board, so my time is not being divulged there. I am pulling myself also off the board of the railroad that's being developed over here. So the only client that I have and the only project that I have is working for the Drainage District. My role would be trying to get all the engineers coordinated, pushing the program forward, negotiating whatever fees are associated with the construction, bringing it back to the board, reviewing the plans with the engineers, overseeing the site construction of these projects, and helping the district maintain an auditing process for the construction of these projects.
What is the amount of, first of all, let me say, during my term as judge, I found you to be the most knowledgeable guy about drainage that I've talked to. So the questions that I ask are simply to clear up some of these concerns that are out there.
Yes, sir.
What is the amount of your salary?
It's about $110,000, and that includes all benefits that I have to maintain as far as insurance, retirement, medical. So if you take all of that out, it comes back to probably a base salary of about $80,000, Judge.
Do you have a copy of the contract?
It's recorded at the courthouse. I don't have one with me, Judge. I'd be more than happy to get one over to your office. I think my contract has probably been one of the most scrutinized contracts that's ever existed in Hidalgo County. But I'd be more than happy to bring y'all another copy.
Well, I'd like to Steve, are you familiar with the contract?
I'm familiar with it. I can't cite it.
The amount that was stated. When I was here that first term, you were making over $200,000.
Never had my contract read over $125,000, Judge.
Well, that's my memory. It's not what it used to be.
Judge, and to keep it into perspective, I know we have construction managers on actual building projects, and they're getting in tune of about 6%. And not to call any contract out, but if you take the sheriff's substation office on the construction management, we were billed, it was close to $200,000 for what we assume that we're going to build within this year extension. I mean, you're only looking at about $200,000, $300,000 on your fee.
Probably so, sir.
But just to keep it into perspective.
Jaime. I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
No problem.
I think the concern, Godfrey, is that during the construction of the levees and the border wall, you made some additional monies besides the contract.
No, sir. The only monies I made from the improvements that were done on the levee system was exactly what was on the contract.
Well, how much money did you make from the improvements in the levee system?
Probably maybe $2 million, Judge.
All right, that's a figure that Ms. Townsend was talking about.
That's the 1.5%, right?
The 1.5%, sir. Yes, sir.
And what is it that you do to earn that additional amount?
Basically, my job is to make sure that the projects are followed through, that the engineers and the contractors are both developed properly, that the change orders that are submitted are viable change orders, and to try to save as much money associated with the construction aspect of the project. I've been in this business since 1979, about 33 years, which gives me an opportunity both from the private sector and the public sector in understanding the construction, the process of construction. So my job is to make sure that the projects run smoothly, that the district is charged an equitable amount for whatever work is done, and to make sure that the work is done properly with assistance of the engineers.
Yeah, I think it's important to note there is value in having Godfrey there for the sake of, again, I know I see a lot of consulting engineers out there, but if we just open the gates, it's very hard to just allow them to dictate what the needs are. And Godfrey obviously has the expertise in understanding the needs of what's out there, and obviously that we build it well within respect to the market value of the work that's being done. I don't have a problem, similar to construction managers.
Yes, sir.
But I was concerned, I know that when we did go out there for the referendum, the general public was concerned about the amount of money that, whether it's a consulting engineer or yourself, would be making on the bond dollars. So I mean, I'm still, I'm just as concerned.
Well, you were there at most of them, Mr. Godfrey.
Yes, sir.
And the concern was raised about making an additional amount of money, you know, your company or yourself, from the construction of these projects. And, you know, my memory's not that bad, but I remember you saying that you were not.
I was not making because I had not received a contract to manage that project, Judge. That contract is being brought to y'all now to be able to manage the project. If the board does not wish to extend my contract, then I will not make any fees.
Okay.
How long has your contract been going on?
The contract we have right now has been on for 4 years. Commissioner, I've been working for the district from the private sector since 1979. I came on board as an employee of the district in '95. I became a consultant in 2000 with the district. So I've been working about 33 years with the Drainage District.
That's great. Is there a problem if we take no action on this, bring it back next week, and have the judge and Steve look at the contract, so then
It's not,
after you look at it, you can determine whether
right,
what he's saying is the way it is.
right. I
So
would
we
like
have
that.
the same understanding of it.
I would appreciate the court allowing us to do that, defer it for a week. We've got, it's, you know, the contract is in force until February, so we got time.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough. You get the,
That way, all of us, why don't you give a copy of the contract to each member of the
More
board?
than happy to, Judge.
All right, then there'd be no action on that item.
Yes, sir. Item 6, request approval of payment, request number 4 for the McAllen Construction, Inc. for project number 120130410, construction and replacement of weir in conjunction with the NRCS grant, main floodwater channel, Willacy County Phase 2.
Move for approval.
second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, request approval to issue manual check after review and audit of pay requests.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Item number 7, under closed session, we do have an item for the board's consideration, which is a claim under Danamom Engineering.
I've been advised by Mr. Crane that we cannot take this matter up in executive session, that he believes that it's proper for it to be done in open session, but I have not discussed that with Danamom yet. Why don't we take about a 10-minute break to see if that they have an interest in making a presentation under open session, because Mr. Crane is advising us that we cannot proceed as the agenda item is listed under executive session.
Very well, sir.
Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Mr. Jones, can you come back here? Your attention, please. We're ready to proceed again in open session on our last item, the claim of Danamom Engineering. What item is that, Mr. Garza?
Basically, Judge, on legal's comment or recommendation to the board, and apparently y'all's or your discussion with Danamom, they're here to make a presentation to the board for a potential claim that Danamom has for the district regarding the work that they engaged in under contract with the district for the levee improvements. So at this point, I will turn it over to Danamom Engineering for a presentation. And I don't know if legal wants to give any direction, if there's going to be any questions by this board.
There should be no question for the board.
No, it was represented to Danamom that they would be given an opportunity to make their presentation, try to make their case as to why they believe they're entitled to further compensation on that particular project. And at that time, no questions would be asked either by our lawyer or by any member of the court.
I will
We're
turn it
here to
over.
listen.
I will turn it over to Danimum Engineering, sir.
Thank you, Godfrey. We would like, I'm Louis Jones with Danimum Engineering, the project manager on this project, and I have with me Richard Seitz, who is the construction manager behind me, and Gumi Ibarra, who was Doss Logistics, were our partner in this endeavor. I would like to do a quick summary of the project. The levee project consisted of about 14 separate projects totaling. The initial bid on those projects were around $225 million. When we were through with the project and the projects were closed out with the contractors, due to value engineering, the construction cost was reduced to $215 million, saving the district as well as Homeland Security over $10 million. The project was designed and constructed to substantially complete in 18 months, which I think is probably the largest project ever done in Hidalgo County, and definitely one of the most quickest projects. We're very proud of the project. I think the Drainage District and Mr. Godfrey Garza should be proud of it. It won one award at the county level. What we are here today for is to inform the commissioners of some of the items that we had requested during the course of the construction of the project, and it is having to do with the construction management and inspection portion of the project. The project was done in 2 phases. One of them was the design phase, which was based on a % construction cost. That has been paid, and we are now talking about the construction management and full-time inspection, which was quite an endeavor for $220 million worth of work going on at the same time. It basically required us to have full-time inspectors on many projects 24 hours a day. Again, the projects were completed on time. It was one of the most successful projects that the county has ever had. Homeland Security held this project up as the way you should work with Homeland Security, so I think the county and the Drainage District should be proud of that. With the insight of Mr. Godfrey Garza, by pushing this project, it was allowed to raise the levees and put the wall, the tactical height wall that DHS needed within the levees, and that basically saved both parties a significant amount of money. Due to our endeavors in this project, we were able to assist in securing over $150 million from Homeland Security that was directly granted to the county or to the Drainage District. According to Pan Am, that was somewhere around $1.2 billion worth of economic stimulus. So what we're going to hear, I'm going to turn it over to Richard Seitz, and who's going to go through a little quick presentation so the commissioners understand what we were going through during this project. We requested several times that we needed additional funds, and those were sent back to us. We could not stop the project, because if we had stopped the project, there would have been lawsuits by the contractors. Homeland Security would have required that, you know, it was a national interest project, so we couldn't stop. We had to continue on, and we expended significant funds of money above and beyond what we were paid in the construction due to having additional inspectors, additional time that we didn't negotiate when we negotiated the contract with Mr. Godfrey Garza. So I'm going to turn it over to Richard Seitz at this time, and then I will wrap it up, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Judge, Commissioners, I would direct you to the handout that I provided each of you, Exhibit 1. That's the first board on the, let's see, I think I've got a light marker here. That's that first board there for the public Basically, what that says is, what is Dannenbaum requesting? We're calling this a claim. It's not a claim. What it is we have a request for final payment before the Drainage District. Dannenbaum is requesting final payment for additional construction phase services rendered on the levee improvement project in excess of the current contract amount. As Mr. Jones indicated to you, we went into this activity and we anticipated a budget of so much money that was in the contract. However, for reasons that I'll explain in a moment, that number grew significantly, and it's that money that we're asking to receive final payment on. So the next question is, why was there a need for additional services? Well, the reason why we had the request for the additional services was that we had a large increase, an actual almost 5-fold increase in document control and inspection demands directly from DHS passed through to us by the Drainage District. Increased in inspectors due to contractors' means and methods. This job was a short-time contract that had to be finished by a specific date in accordance with DHS's agreement on this project. As a result of their activities, we had estimated, for example, that we would have a monthly report. It turns out that DHS required us to provide a daily report. So that's part of the document control increase that I'm talking about. I'm not going to go into all this in depth, but these are some of the key items. The contractor means and methods. One of the contractors went to construct this in the contracted time. He went to 24-hour construction. We had anticipated that we would have an 8 to 5. That's what our budget was prepared upon. Consequently, we had to staff far more staff as inspectors out on that field, far more management in order to complete that. Why weren't these additional costs and associated fees addressed earlier? At the time, it became obvious that the additional services would be needed, and that was back there when we realized, once we got into these contracts, what these additional requirements were being placed upon us. Dannenbaum repeatedly submitted supplemental agreements requesting approval for the additional services and fee. However, they were returned to us by the Drainage District without any action taken on it. They weren't rejected. They weren't acted on and said they weren't going to be paid or they weren't going to be executed. They were simply returned to us. Due to instructions from the Drainage District and DHS to perform the services and the fast-track pace of nature of the project, Dannenbaum went ahead at risk and proceeded with performing the work for in the best interest of the county and DHS. This is Exhibit 2. I'm going to read from there. What are the contract provisions for payment? Basically, the contract, and you have a handout that I provided you there that cites Articles 5.1 and 5.2 out of the contract. There are 2 phases to the payment. One of them was basic services, and basic services is a lump sum price based upon the final construction cost that is for the design activities, all the design work that we did in design. Special services are paid for at a labor cost based on man hours expended and salary rates set forth in the contract and material cost. This is the item that we're requesting payment for. This is where our overrun was, and that's what we're bringing forward to you today. We've been over 1.5 years waiting to receive this payment. Under the original contract, fees for basic services was 9% of the final construction cost for earthen levees only and earthen wall levees, which were the DHS levees. We had 3 levees that were just county earthen levees, and the rest of them were DHS levees out of the 14. Fees for under an agreement reached between Mr. Jones on behalf of Dannenbaum and Mr. Garza on behalf of the Hidalgo County Drainage District, The original contract fees were revised as follows. The basic fee of 9% remained for the earthen levies, those 3 levies. The fee for the earthen wall levies, because the costs came in significantly higher, we agreed to reduce to 7%. Now that 7% number is based upon a document that we typically use that's performed by the National Society of Professional Engineers in association with the American Society of Civil Engineers, where they provide a graph based upon how much money the project is worth and what that fee would be for that project. So these are just not numbers that were pulled out of there. It was based on this. Technically, under the contract, we could have held to the 9%. But we chose, in fairness to the county and to everybody concerned, to reduce that to 7%. The fees for special services. Under the agreement, the 7% basic service fee for the earthen wall levies was further reduced by 10% or 0.7% to 6.3% from 7%. This was done in order to convert all of the construction phase basic services shown in Exhibit B of the contract, and I'll show you those sheets in a moment, to special services with payment based upon labor costs, man hours, and rates established in the contract. It was felt that this needed to be performed in order to simplify any questions regarding special services in the construction phase. In the original contract, that section had both basic services and special services. But because of the agreement to do this, we changed, the intent was to change all of these to special services. And this is where really the problem comes in. Supplemental agreements were prepared in accordance with Article 8 of the contract to implement these changes to the contract. However, there was an error in the supplemental agreements. Not all of the construction phase services, basic services shown in Exhibit B were converted to special services as was intended. Now keep in mind, we're running this job here basically 12, 14 hours a day during this phase. Our office is running in those hours almost 7 days a week. So in fairness to the county and in fairness to us, there are items in these contracts that we encountered where we expedited them in such a fast fashion that they weren't always exactly what the intent was. This was recently, we weren't even aware of this until recently when the auditor's office brought it up, that when they were trying to audit our numbers that we provided for the backup for what our costs are, the auditor's office says, well, I can't understand what's basic and what's special here. And that's the first indication that we had, Tannenbaum had, that there was a problem with that supplemental. To correct that error, Tannenbaum recently submitted and is requesting approval of a supplemental agreement to correct the error. Now, if you go to the next Exhibit 3, that's not the one. You need the one that has the supplemental agreement. This is the page out of the supplemental agreement that was prepared to convert the basic services in the construction services phase of the construction. Yes, that's correct sheet.
Okay.
And I've indicated in red there what the problem was. There are actually 2 sheets in Exhibit B, page 1 of 19 and page 2 of 19, that address the construction phase services. Page 1 was addressed in this supplemental. Page 2, however, the basic services in the construction phase there were not addressed. It's merely left out a sentence there saying that those are going to get converted to special services. go to the next sheet, you can see that. We're referring to to this particular sheet here. On page 2, the pages are numbered at the bottom. Our page 2 of 19, item 1D is construction management. And you can see that by asterisk there, we're showing that the basic services were converted to special services. These items were contained in the supplemental that I just spoke about. However, on page 3, under 3C, which is construction, which is again construction phase services, there are four items there that are listed as basic. Those didn't get converted to special by that supplemental.
I would like to add to that is when we started the negotiation of this project with Mr. Garza, both Godfrey and I saw that there was a discrepancy and an overlap of services in those two areas. That's why we chose to combine those together, hopefully to do it properly so we wouldn't have this problem. And that's what the 10% reduction was for, but obviously the document didn't get changed properly. And we both should have caught it, but we didn't. I'd like to point out that when we agreed to go from 9% to 7%, the project was moving so fast that we had finished the design and completed it and bid the projects before we ever signed a supplement lowering that fee. It is our belief that we honored our agreement, and that what we're trying to do now is, from these supplements, to straighten this language out, is to honor the intent of the negotiation that we had earlier by reducing that 10%. And we think that helps clear up the issue that the auditor was having, what's basic and what's special, because it is a confusing issue here. That contract is confusing. And we knew that up front, and that's why we did what we did. We just obviously didn't do it properly.
Basically, Mr. Jones addressed the items that I've got on Exhibit 5 there. Like the original supplemental agreement, reducing the basic fee and changing part of the construction phase basic services to special services, the current supplemental agreements are being requested after the work was performed. In other words, that supplemental that reduced from 9 to 7 and reduced to 7 to 6.23 was not signed, was not submitted or executed when the work had been performed. It was after the work had been performed. Now, technically, if you look at the contract, you can sit there and say, okay, well, that's not absolutely correct. But there are provisions in there that allow you to take that action. And it was taken. We could have at that point said, hey guys, hey, there's no supplemental here, just like we're sitting here right now today with you with the supplemental we're asking for in the construction phase, and say, hey, we've already done the work, so you got to pay us the 9%. But no, we honored our agreement to reduce to 7%. We are before you today asking you to honor the portion of the agreement between the Drainage District and us, knowing that it's after the fact, just like the previous one was, converting these basic services on 3 items to special services. That allows us to move forward with the auditor's office auditing our invoice for final payment. That, I believe, is the final hurdle, unless there's something else that comes up. Now, Dannenbaum understands technically in not having noted the omission of the 3rd page of Exhibit B on the contract and signing the supplemental, which we did. However, the blame should be borne equally by the Drainage District in not noting the omission, as the intent was clearly understood by both parties to convert all construction phase basic services to special services. Therefore, Dannenbaum respectfully requests the county allow the correction to the errant supplemental in the spirit of fairness and justice to all concerned. Now, as far as the payment, as far as our bill for the work, our final payment request, Exhibit 6 shows you a tabulation of the different work authorizations, which are the 14 projects, the project numbers, and the amount of cost incurred to date by Dannenbaum in regards to those activities, a tabulation of the fees already paid to Dannenbaum, because as I said earlier on, the contract did have a certain number in there for what we were supposed to be paid. It just didn't incorporate all these extra activities that we had to perform here, and tried to get supplemental agreements for and received no action on, which brings us to where we are today. Had those been acted on back then, we wouldn't be standing here before you. And the difference between the two. Now, if you look at the total under the cost incurred to date by Dannenbaum, that total cost is a 10.8 million, basically. That amounts to approximately 4.2% of the total construction cost, which is well within accepted norms for this activity where you're performing inspection and construction management on a project.
I don't want to get that confused with if you're just doing management, which is kind of where Mr. Garza is on the 1.5%. We are doing full-time inspection. We probably had 40 to 50 people running out there at any one time on that project. So I don't want those to get confused. Industry standard, if you're within 4.2% for that, for this large a project, this complicated of a project, it's well within industry standard.
That concludes the presentation, unless you have something else.
I'd like to maybe close it up if I could.
Go ahead, please.
Again, we're here before you today really at the mercy of the court. We've worked a long time with the county and various agencies. We appreciate the opportunity to work in the county. We think we've been good neighbors. We've worked hard to give back to the county. We understand we're at your mercy. We've done the work. We've shown, I believe, in all of the timesheets, we copied every timesheet, every cost that we had. We gave that to the auditor. We subtracted out what we've actually gotten paid by all parties, including if the contractor paid for some of that through the drainage district. And that is the difference. That is how much we were, if you want to call it, in the hole for the construction management inspection. And we would just ask you guys to consider making us whole. We're at your mercy. And with that, we'll conclude. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Any requests as opposed to questions?
Well, simple question. I'm sorry. Let's just get down to Godfrey. The 5.7 requested, where are those monies coming from? Are those federal dollars, or are those county dollars, district dollars?
Those would be coming from the district fund, sir.
Okay.
Are there any signed supplemental agreements? Signed by the members of the court?
Oh, we have hundreds of supplemental, or not hundreds, a lot of supplemental agreements associated with this project regarding design, inspections. So yes, there are a lot of supplemental agreements executed in the contract.
Can I, going back to my question, why is it that it's coming out of the district funds? If this was, obviously it was a federal project, obviously it had a dual purpose, serving the needs of the levy. Federal government gave so much money. Why at the end now that the district's responsible for what's been left?
Commissioners, I would divert that to executive session, sir.
Okay. Yeah, because it's the federal government's timeline, hence the reason why we had to move as fast as we could. I wasn't there at that time, but I was an administrator for the county at that time. I don't dispute the work that Dannenbaum did, and every consulting engineer and every contractor did an impeccable job out there. So for within the timetable that was asked from them, from each and every one of them, they've done an impeccable job. I do believe that if something's owed, it's owed. Obviously, we're going to, it's hard to make that distinction, just me as an elected official. Obviously, we're deferring to legal and auditors, but we definitely want to, this is $5 million. We definitely want to dot our i's and cross our t's and assure that we're doing our due diligence.
And Judge and Commissioner, one of the items that I will say in respect to Dannenbaum Engineering, I think the firm is an excellent firm. I think they did an outstanding job on the project that we had before us in moving it forward. So as far as their credibility as a design firm and an engineering firm, I have no doubt and no question on their capabilities. I think they did an exceptional job for the district, for DHS, on moving this program forward.
Steve, should we ask, can we ask, well, I better not. No, we'll talk in executive.
I don't know if you want to recess an executive session at this time?
I don't believe.
No, we're not going to do it today.
Okay, sir.
But later on when we have an opportunity. All right. Does that conclude our drainage district?
Yes, sir,
agenda?
that is the last item on the district, sir.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners.
It's an open,
well,
if you want to keep it, it's an open.
Still
meeting.
early.
I want to.
Thank you very much. We do have a workshop scheduled for 11 o'clock for First Southwest. It's about 10:30 right now.
When, today?
Yes, sir.
Maybe we ought to reset, I mean, that's going to be an important one. We ought to have the entire court present. You know, Commissioner Flores'
Yes,
sister
sir.
passed away.
I
and-
understand it's whatever the wishes of the board is.
I would think that if we're going to be out there borrowing 84 million, we ought to
We can reschedule the
full
board
board.
wishes for next week.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Very good. sir. I guess, I don't know what the process will be, Steve, when 11 o'clock comes.
How long?
We just won't call that meeting to order.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Yes. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Regular Hidalgo County Commissioners Court meeting for today, January the 15th, 2013. Present are Commissioner Cuellar, Precinct 1, Palacios, Precinct 2, Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Townsend, could you do us the honor, please?
Oh, I have a printed one today. I don't like these kind as well, but anyhow. Almighty God, we come together today for the good of the citizens of Hidalgo County. Give us your wisdom as we make decisions that will affect them today and in the years to come. Help us to work well together, recognizing that each of us is here because we want what is best for Hidalgo County. We ask for your blessing and your guidance. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
At this time, I would ask for you to remain standing and for a moment of silence with the sister of Commissioner Joe Flores, Ms. Otilia Flores Guerrero. Her funeral is today at 1 o'clock. She passed away, I believe it was on Friday. Services were last night, but the funeral is today at 1 at Holy Rosary Catholic Church. Will be providing the services in Mission. Thank you. right, at this time, we want to take one item out of order. That's item number 6. B.
This is a presentation and acknowledgement of the I-69 TxDOT Advisory Committee report and recommendations. Today, Commissioners and Judge, we have Commissioner David Garza from Cameron County, Ramiro Garza from the City of Edinburgh, and Joe Phillips of McAllen here to present the item. Oh, excuse me, Pete Sepulveda as well from Cameron County.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Welcome, Commissioner.
Yes.
Commissioner Garza is a county commissioner in Cameron County.
What Bobby's passing out is a report and recommendations that were approved at the last TxDOT Commission meeting. And this is a culmination of 4 or 5 years of work by people like Ramiro Garza, who's standing behind me, and Joe Phillips, and myself, who are members of this committee for South Texas, for what we consider the Rio Grande Valley. It's been a long process that has been followed in trying to get where we are today, and I thank Commissioner's Court for the opportunity to be here just to give you a very brief update of what has occurred. You might recall, and I think Norma Garza from TxDOT is here. Norma, I saw you over there. If we need any technical assistance, she's going to be the one that can help us on that. So, but it's been a progress that has occurred since the Trans-Texas Corridor concept came into play. As a result of a public relations nightmare for that corridor, things were changed, and TxDOT Commission, with the leadership of Amadeo Sáenz and the TxDOT commissioners, came up with an idea of putting together an advisory committee to have a process and develop a process that would be a citizen-driven, from communities process. Not a top-down process, but a bottom-up process, and that's where we served. Bill Summers was the other individual that was very active with us that Ramiro replaced when Bill passed away, and he was very instrumental in what has transpired with this report. As a result of this report, the recommendations before you, and I'm not going to go through everything, but it is important for public to understand that we're not talking about something to service the Rio Grande Valley only. This corridor, at TxDOT, they say that it starts in Texarkana and comes down to the Rio Grande Valley. But I say that it starts in the Rio Grande Valley and leads to Michigan, okay? That's what it does. It's a 1,600-mile corridor of an interstate that will eventually intersect with 6 other interstates, which will give us connectivity to move goods and services and people in a safe manner from our ports of entry, whether it be inland ports or water ports, upstate. We all are aware of the Panama Canal issues coming up, what's going to happen with that. We're aware of the new opportunities that the Mazatlan to this area highway system is going to provide, and what's that going to do? It's going to increase our port activities and our inland ports. We understand that most of what occurs in Nogales, Arizona, will be moving into our general area, which is going to be great for us. But the advisory committee, looking at all those things, prepared this report and got it approved by the commission. And the report encourages the tri-development of I-69 into our area. That means that we would have a leg coming down that would go into Harlingen-Brownsville area, which would be I-69E. We would have a leg coming down 281 into the Edinburgh-McAllen area, which will be I-69C, and another leg that goes to Laredo, which will be I-69W. Somewhat similar to what has occurred in the northern part of Texas, and we've seen the growth potential in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as a result of that issue occurring there. It's important to note that the committee, in the process of recommending this to commission, came up with a position paper first and foremost, being inclusive of all the issues that we had with the Trans-Texas Corridor, which involved eminent domain and land acquisition. Part of the Farm Bureau, part of all these folks were part of the group, and we came out with guiding principles that should be used in the development of this. The recommendations included a position on trying to existing footprint on current highways so that we would not disturb farms, ranches, and other developments in certain areas of the state. And if you look at the very last page, we came up with 7 guiding principles. Very last page on the bottom half. And we also came up with recommendations. I think you all are well aware of the improvements that have been made. I know there's a current project occurring right north of Edinburgh that is just beginning. And, you know, there's great things happening. I-69 was a pipe dream and has been since the 90s to the Rio Grande Valley. Well, last year we had the first signage in the state of Texas occur in the Robstown area. The first piece of I-69 in Texas was a 6.2-mile stretch in the Robstown area that got signed as I-69. Subsequent to that, there's another piece on 59 in the greater Houston area that got signed. There's 200 miles now that, because of the federal legislation that was passed this last June, are up for signage to occur between sometime now and April of this year. Okay? So we're going to see signs going up very soon in the valley, I-69 signs. I ask, and to be brief, I just ask this commission to stay engaged. We need to be in TxDOT's face. We need to be in our legislators' face. We have agendas in regards to our transportation goals in Cameron County, and I know you have some too, but we need to remind ourselves that every piece that we can get done is one less thing we have to worry about needing to do. If you look on page 17, it shows a whole corridor with the total dollars needed for that corridor to happen. You know, part of the recommendations that we as a committee came up with and suggested to TxDOT was having priorities be done. Through that process, segment committees were assigned. Many local people from your county served on those committees. Local priorities, connectivity, safety, and other issues were taken into consideration and are included in the report. So we also encourage TxDOT to look at different types of funding mechanisms to get the work done. We know that money's scarce nowadays, but there's other ways besides tax dollars that we can fund some of these pieces with, and we are doing it. We've been successful in being inclusive as partnering with TxDOT. Cameron County has a number of projects, the RMA does, that they partnered with them on 77 that has facilitated those processes to proceed. And those type of collaborative efforts need to continue and need to be encouraged, you know. Environmental study, as an example, on 77, we have a FONSI, it's already done. That's available, so we need to take advantage of that being done. We need to take advantage of encouraging an environmental study to begin, even if it's in sections of 281, maybe not the whole section at one time. And we need to help each other to get that to happen. So I come to you to ask for support in this next legislative session in being at the forefront. Go into the meetings. We have a presence, Cameron County has a presence at every TxDOT Commission meeting and at every Transportation Committee hearing in Austin. And we'd like to invite and encourage any of you that wish to join us to please do so. If you have any questions that I need to answer, I might be able to do so. If not, we have brain power behind me to do so. You know.
Commissioners, are any of you have any questions?
Not a bit.
Joe, Ramiro, do you have any comments?
The only thing I wanted to add was there's a little bit of a delay on bringing the 83 portion from West of Mission to Harlingen into the system. Once it hits Harlingen, of course, it'll be I-69 because of the 77 component. And that is, I think it's really primarily just they're trying to figure out what to name it, aren't they? That was the last I heard from Mario.
That's pretty well
and Mario Jorge. And so if you guys have any ideas on that, I know he was, Mario Jorge was tossing out the idea of naming it IH2. There is no IH2, and the reason is because across the border, that's the major Mexican highway number. And but once that occurs, we will have an interstate that goes from north of Edinburgh as I-69 down into 83 and then over to west of Mission, and then of course all the way down to Brownsville and then back up on 77 to what, Lyford, or where does it stop?
Northern Cameron County, northern Willacy County line.
Northern Willacy County line. And the beauty of that is TxDOT will no longer be responsible for the cost of maintaining that highway. That's one of the reasons they've been pushing this, and we've been pushing it. We're hoping that we can convince them to use those funds, or most of those funds, to advance more projects down here.
Judge and Commissioners, I just want to reiterate what Commissioner Garza pointed out. I think it's important to have somebody from the county assigned to attend every TxDOT meeting, because when we go up to the TxDOT meetings, there's always somebody there from Cameron County. I think Commissioner Garza is probably in the front row at all times at the commission meetings, and that just goes a long way in trying to stay on top of a lot of these projects. But Commissioner, thank you for your leadership. He's been serving on this committee way before I have, and I think along with Joe as well, because I-69 cannot happen either on 77 or 281 without the whole region working together. So I thank him for coming here, and thank you for your support.
Well, we do want to thank you, Commissioner, for that leadership you have been providing, and also the other members of your committee for their service, public service, volunteer public service for the benefit of our region. And thank you for all the work you gentlemen have done. Do you need action to accepting this report?
No, sir, you just need to hopefully take the time to read it carefully, look over it. You know, there is a part of the bill that was passed last June included, you know, language to allow for signage to occur along 77 between the northern Willacy County line and all through Kennedy County, because of the sparsity in population and density of development, you know, to allow an exclusion to occur, to do something a little bit different along that route than having an overpass every 3 or 4 miles. So, you know, the federal government, Federal Highway Administration has worked well with us in TxDOT in making sure that this allows TxDOT, Phil Wilson now, and the commission. You know, I have nothing but the accolades for them, because they have been great in moving this project forward. They have found alternate ways to fund some of it. And, you know, sometimes, though, we've got to put a little skin in the game ourselves, as we found out in our area. And, you know, just with the few dollars that exist for transportation, you know, help them move projects along a little quicker. And I have to compliment Mario Jorge and his staff locally, who are an integral part of all the pieces of the way that we've had to work with up there. So thank you, and just encourage, I know Joseph, I've seen you up there a couple of times, but, you know, encourage some of you to just take an interest in this, especially through the legislative session, and just keep up with some of the things that are ongoing that we need to make sure occur, you know, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, our consent agenda, any concerns?
Judge, I would like to ask that a couple of agenda items be pulled for discussion. Agenda item 12A and 12D.
Need a motion to approve, subject to those 2 items?
So moved.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. Under 12A.
Item 12A, just a correction needs to be made. The caption should read $114,118.79. So with that correction, I would like to request approval.
Is that correct, Oscar?
Yes, sir.
All right, those those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Under 12B.
12D, the amount of the, included on the application for payment and the certification for payment is incorrect, Judge. It needs to be corrected. I would like to request no action until the correction is made.
We concur with that assessment, sir.
All right, there'll be no action taken on that
Yeah, the
item.
vendor needs to make the corrections.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Under open forum, first presenter is Mr. Jim Barnes.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
I address you today as the president of the McAllen Tea Party. Notice I'm not wearing my red owl shirt. The Tea Party's purpose is to support the Constitution, seek to limit taxes and the growth of government, and promote less government in our daily lives. On April 19th, American patriots everywhere will be commemorating the shot heard around the world. On that day, the British traveled to Concord to seize a stockpile of firearms used by the local militia and British citizens to protect themselves. That evening, the British returned to Boston with very few officers and many dead and wounded soldiers. Years later, the newly independent states refused to ratify the written Constitution because there was something missing from it. Ratification proceeded only after the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, were added. The Bill of Rights limited the central government by establishing the rights of individuals and the separate and individual states by placing limits on the central government. Many of us in this room, including you, Judge, the commissioners, the law enforcement people that are present, and all of us that were veterans, took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We may need to work together to ensure the sanctity of that document. Tomorrow, or today, in Washington, decisions may be made to infringe one of those Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment. Our Vice President has launched trial balloons on firearm owner registration and possibly confiscation of the erroneously termed automatic weapons or assault weapons. These definitions are obviously made by someone that hasn't got a clue about real firearms. The weapons owned by Americans are semi-automatic. Only the military are allowed to have automatic weapons. As a matter of fact, think about it. The smooth-bore Brown Bess musket carried by the British soldiers at Lexington and Concord could have been defined as the assault weapon of the day. The Second Amendment did not prevent ownership of that assault weapon or any other weapon. Those that do not understand history are doomed to repeat its mistakes. Attempting to confiscate the colonist firearms did not work out well for the British.
You got 30 seconds, sir.
Perhaps this central government may be smarter and remember their history. In case they are not, all of us took an oath that the Constitution must stand together. Thank you for your time.
All right, next presenter is Opal Billman.
Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. The First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America grants me the right to petition my government for a redress of grievances. A grievance is not a petty gripe. It is a cause of major harm to an individual. In my case, I have been held in police-enforced false imprisonment in Hidalgo County, Texas, for 15 years. For 15 years, I have continuously petitioned the 275th District Court for my liberty and my freedom, which was established and ordained by the Constitutional Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights protects citizens from the abuse of power by people in charge of our government. False imprisonment is a crime. It is a crime against me, and it is a crime against the state. Instead of revoking the unconstitutional and illegal court order, it has been used to have me arrested, jailed, and put through 2 unconstitutional jury trials in Hidalgo County. Verdicts of both of the trials are unclear, leaving the matter up to one person, the judge. False imprisonment is the foundation by which the prosecutors base their actions against me, and even after the trials, I remain in false imprisonment, a violation of my civil rights under the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments to the Constitution, and a crime against both the state and me. I have been told twice that this panel of elected officials don't do anything about that. I'm reporting a crime in progress. If you observe the bank being robbed, would you just walk on past and say we don't do anything about that? Thank you for your time.
Next presenter is Manuela Luna. Is Mr. Daniel Diaz, Marta Sanchez, and Anita Gonzalez, are they part of this group?
Yes.
All right, can you step forward?
Well, I'll just make a short comment then.
Sir? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, we'll be able to make a comment as we come up as a team, is that?
Well, you've got 4 of you. The law allows you up to, I believe it's 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, we won't take
together.
Yeah, it's fine.
¿Se lo puedo decir en español? Ok. Buenos días, señores del jurado. Mi nombre es Manuela Luna. Vivo en la Spanish Palm de Mercedes. Soy de Lupe, la voz del pueblo. Y yo quisiera que en estos 15 millones de bonos que se dividan bien para poder hacer arreglos en nuestras colonias como Spanish Palm, Olivares, Lucero del Norte y otras que se necesitan. Yo digo, señores, que se le estarán agradecidos, no por un tiempo, por toda la vida, por ayudarnos.
Do you mind translating?
I'll translate. She's Manuela Luna. She's from Colonia Spanish Palms in the Mercedes area. She is, this is concerning the $15 million out of the drainage bond. She wants it to be split, fairly and equally amongst the precincts where it has direct impact in not only her colonia but other colonias in the region. She's also, for my part, I know she's been a very active participant, colonia resident in this process, and we're really looking forward to this. And then regarding myself, I also wanted to address the limited resolution and the drainage bond. Regarding unincorporated subdivisions, we'll continue to have this discussion of the direct impact that we want this money to have on our colonias. Like she said, it's a total of $15 million that came out of that drainage bond. We want to continue being part of that process. I feel that a lot of the advocates, housing advocates, colonia advocates have been part of this process from the beginning. We just make sure that we follow through and we do see this money have direct impact. I also wanted to just briefly mention Commissioner Joseph Palacios. I know in San Carlos we've been doing a lot of work, and we'll continue to do a lot of work there, outside of the drainage bond, but on other drainage projects there, that's going to have impact. So, thank you, sir.
Good morning, and I'm going to translate for Mr. Bocanegra, and that's all I'm going to do.
Buenos días, mi nombre es José Bocanegra. Vengo con la Organización Lupe de la colonia Joma Merox, queda en el precinto 3, y solo quiero recordarle a nuestro comisionado Joe Flores de la necesidad bien grande que hay en mi colonia. para el drenaje. Hemos sufrido bastante por el problema que tenemos por las inundaciones. Esperemos, especialmente que ahora que hay dinero, este dinero sea usado sabiamente. Hay otras colonias como la mía que podría usar un mejor sistema de drenaje. Le ruego considere esta petición. Muchas gracias.
Good morning. My name is Jose Bocanegra. I come from La Colonia La Jomameros and precinct number 3. And I'm just here to remind the commissioner that if there's not going to be money available, our colonia has been suffering for many, many years with flooding, and nothing has been able to be done. And I'm hoping that this time, and I'm imploring to this time, that he will use the money wisely, since there's going to be money available for this project, that it takes in consideration the problems that we have in our colonia. I know there's other colonias and precinct 3, they have the same problem, but we'd like to ask him to take in consideration our colonia La Jomameros and precinct number 3. And also, I just wanted to say that we are very sorry about the sister of Commissioner Flores, and we know that he's not here today, but just for the record, we wanted to come and say this, since you are going to be talking about this issue. It's going to be moved for next week, but we still wanted to, since we had already signed up, and keep this conversation going. So we are sorry, and we feel bad about Commissioner Flores' sister who passed away. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Good morning. I'll be doing the translation for her.
Buenos días, señor juez y comisionados. Mi nombre es Ana González y yo vengo de la organización Arise y Voces Unidas. Esta mañana estamos aquí para agradecer su tiempo de escuchar a nosotros, la comunidad. Bueno, sabemos que los 15 millones que se aprobaron para uso en las colonias rurales se dividirán entre las 4 precintos, entre las organizaciones que abarcan la red de Voces Unidas. Se hizo una lista de comunidades en donde pueden utilizar el dinero para que haga un impacto directo. Ellos se reunirán con ustedes para platicar sobre esta lista. Como desde el principio nosotros fuimos parte del proceso y queremos seguirlo siendo. Gracias.
Good morning. Her name is Anita Gonzalez, and she'd like to thank you for always willing to hear the community. She understands that the 15 million of the drainage bond will be divided between the 4 precincts, and the Equal Voice Network has come up with the list that within the 4 precincts that you guys could take a look at, and the organizations will be in contact with you to speak more on details of the list, because we'd like to continue being part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Como yo les recomendaría a esas personas que acaban de hablar, que hablen con sus comisionados o los representantes de ellos en las oficinas de ellos para que discutan esto con más detalle, porque la decisión la van a hacer ellos.
Judge, and for the record, we pleaded to work with each, whether it's Lupe or Rise, and all the colonia advocates to ensure that we're focusing on impacted colonias within our precincts to use those funds out.
Okay. All right, next presenter is Karina Cardosa.
Judge, Commissioners, we're here today, I'm here with Mr. Eddie Olivares, and we're here today to encourage all residents. We sent out a press release yesterday. We encourage all residents to be proactive against the flu this season. It is a very, it's spreading pretty rapidly, and there's a lot of instances this year. So we have, the judge was gracious enough to get his flu shot taken by the health department last week, and so we wanted to show a picture of his bravery, and we challenge.
I can tell the public that number 1, it doesn't hurt. Number 2, I have not gotten sick.
That's great.
And that's true, it's fantastic. It's easy, it's affordable, it's accessible, and we encourage
And by
everyone
being affordable, it's $15 at a shot.
at the health department. And the clinics are located across the county. You can visit hchd.org for clinic locations. You can also visit flu.gov for other outside county, some pharmacies and stores, and actually there's a lot of other places that provide the flu shots. And we encourage all residents, the best way to stay healthy is to follow the 3 C's, which is cover your mouth when you sneeze or cough in order to avoid spreading germs, clean your hands frequently, and if you do have flu-like symptoms, you should contain the infection by staying home from work or school. Eddie, do you have anything to add?
For all our county employees, it's a free shot
We could work.
at the health department.
Yeah, we work with that through our county health department and through our benefits department. I think, sir, one of the main issues here on this is that this is a very active flu season, both type A and type B flu. Please get your preventative vaccine. The other thing is vaccine is becoming difficult to find. In fact, I just ordered another 350 doses, and it was hard to find it. So I know in the weeks to come, it's going to become real difficult to obtain it. So right now is an opportunity to get it, and please, we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there is no action needed on item 6A. Former Commissioner Quintanilla was not able to make it today. We move on to no action needed on item 6C. Am I correct?
Correct.
All right, so we move on to item 6D as in David.
Yes, item 6D, January, according to the Texas Association of School Boards, is School Board Appreciation Month, and we were approached by members of the La Jolla Independent School District to recognize their newly elected board members on this occasion. And we have with us in our midst, we have Mr. Oscar Salinas, otherwise known as Coach, and he is a La Jolla ISD board member. And if I may quickly read the resolution, the proclamation, and then Coach will say a few words. Proclamation recognizing January 2013 as School Board Recognition Month. Whereas the mission of public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society and an ever-changing world. And whereas this month is celebrated across the state of Texas in recognition of all school board members who are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child. And whereas La Jolla Independent School District school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system by working closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision for our students. And whereas La Jolla ISD school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby recognizes January 2013 as School Board Recognition Month in Hidalgo County and for La Jolla ISD, dated this 15th day of January 2013.
Action.
Yes.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Coach, would you say a few words?
Yes. First of all, thank you to the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court, and of course, in behalf of our school district, our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Alda T. Benavides, our school board members, President J.J. Peña, Vice President Esperanza Espi Ochoa, Secretary Mr. Joel Garcia, members, John Alanis, member Chuy Avendaño, member J.J. Garza, and myself. We want to thank the county, and hopefully that we can continue working together. Best of wishes to Precinct 1 Commissioner Mr. Cuellar, Precinct 2 Commissioner Mr. Palacios, Judge, as well as for yourself, and for Precinct 4 Commissioner Mr. Palacios as well, and for ours truly and dearly, Mr. Flores, who, you know, La Jolla is within the Precinct 3 area. Not only do we want to thank him, but also in behalf of our schools and our students and our parents and our community members, we want to send out the deepest condolences to him and his family for this a great loss that they had, and hopefully that the Lord can find comfort in their hearts. Because I know we have Spanish-speaking people and some of them don't. I'll quickly say it in Spanish. primeramente de parte de la mesa directiva del Distrito Escolar de La Joya, nuestros miembros de la mesa directiva, presidente J.J. Peña, vicepresidente Esperanza Espio Ochoa, secretario del sistema, como lo es Joel García, miembro Chuy Avendaño, miembro Jana Lanís, miembro J.J. Garza y un servidor Oscar Salinas, de parte de todos nuestros elementos, todos nuestros trabajadores, todos los que hacen el sistema correr, nuestra gran orgullo. Somos conocidos en el Río Grande, en el mágico Valle del Río Grande, como la gema del valle. Son los estudiantes que forman La Joya High School, los Coyotes, La Joya Palmview, que son los Lobos, y lo que es La Joya Juárez Lincoln, nuestros Huskies. De parte de nuestros estudiantes, a ustedes la mejor de la suerte en este año 2013, y les damos gracias por su presencia y este gran reconocimiento que los han traído por enfrente. Y para que quede en el record, so that it stays in the record, I am an employee of Hidalgo County, so I thank the commission and the judge. Mr. Guerra is one of my immediate supervisors, as well as Mr. Olivares. I want to thank you on behalf of them and, of course, on behalf of my family for this great recognition that you've given La Joya Schools. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Item 6E.
6E, item 6E, approval of interlocal agreement for services by and between Hidalgo County and the Alliance for the Interstate 69 Texas.
Move for approval.
Are you recommending it?
Yeah, I'm recommending it, but I think I need to defer to Steve and the auditor on this. I think the auditor had an issue with it.
Is there a concern, Mr. Professor?
Well, the concern is with the invoice, Judge, not with the interlocal.
All right, then the interlocal, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, item number 2, approval to pay membership dues to the RGV Mobility Task Force in the amount of $7,500 with authority for the county treasurer to issue check after review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by the county auditor.
What is the concern, sir?
Well, the concern, Judge, is that the agreement was just approved today, and the invoice is for membership dues for 2012. And so we cannot pay retroactive costs or expenses. We can pay for 2013 membership dues.
Judge, just to let you know, back in 2012, it was brought to our attention by Julian Alvarez from the partnership that we had not paid our dues for 2012. I think executive office had brought it in October, and we were alerted in November we hadn't paid our dues, and that's the board that you and Commissioner Palacios serve on, as well as Commissioner Garza. So we did talk to legal, and they wanted us to form an agreement, but there was a few things that got stumbling blocks in the last part of the year, and we just missed the deadline, and now we're in 2013.
File it as a claim, Bobby.
Okay.
We may have another way to do it too.
Sir?
We may have another way to skin that cat. I just talked to Valdi about that.
We may have what?
Another way to skin the cat.
Oh, okay, well, no, we're not going to take any action and then talk to Mr. Crane.
Okay, and just so you know, in 2011, it was done as a statement of fact. There was no agreement during those years, so.
All right, sir.
All right, thank you.
Item 7, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. Item 7A, 1 and 2, there's no action at this time unless there's action needed further down the agenda. Item 7B, Mr. Sunday is in the audience. Yes, he's back there. We have presentation, discussion, consideration, and action if necessary, including but not limited to the following: renovations to the former administration building, first and second floor. I know that we had a meeting yesterday. Mr. Sunday, you want to bring everybody up to speed with respect to the admin building renovation project for this year?
The tie-in between the old admin and the modulars?
Right.
Obviously, Judge, Commissioners, we need to get the courts out of the old admin building into the modulars in order to start the old admin building. What is currently underway is the roof is being redone at the old admin building. The timeline involved is we're still on target and on goal to have Master Court 1, Child Protective Services Court, and County Court at Laws 7 and 8 out of the old admin building by the end of the month. It may not all transpire in 1 week because of logistics, but we're already put into motion getting the quote for the moves, because we're adhering to that goal of getting them out of the old admin into the modulars. At the same time, we're still trying to incorporate the changes to the modulars to accommodate their needs they expressed about 3 weeks ago, and I believe Oscar Garza has an agenda item on that one.
Are you staying within budget?
Yes.
We're staying within budget. What is being used is the contingency fund for changes that have taken place throughout the project, mostly related to the city fire marshal's requests for changes to the gates. And
what is the amount that is being used out of the contingency fund?
What amount are you getting from the contingency fund?
It hasn't been summarized as of yet. That's also a work in progress. What we don't know are these most recent changes from 3 weeks ago, when that was a discussion item on December 18th. We don't know what those costs are because it hasn't been thoroughly determined. First, Dannenbaum's scope of work needs to be changed, and I believe there's an item on the consent agenda today to address that. Once that happens, then we can determine the answers to your questions about these costs.
But do you have an idea?
No, sir. No, sir. We
How
don't.
much is being expended?
Oh, no, Commissioner, with respect to the requested changes, okay, we don't have a dollar amount with respect to the requested changes.
Do you have an approximation?
I'm going to guesstimate that the changes that the judges wanted in those walls being removed and doors being removed and the other courts with doors added, I'm going to guesstimate that's about $50,000.
All right.
The contingency you're talking about, the contingency within the contract, correct?
Yes.
You want to clarify that?
Yes.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
Judge, Commissioners, I just want to clarify on that term, the contingency, that these changes are being funded through the contingency. It's not through the county's general fund contingency account. It's through the contingency line item that's within the contract of the job order contractor. So it's not additional funds that are coming from the general fund, rather it's from within the same contract.
How much
I just wanted to
money,
clarify that.
how much money is set aside on the contingency fund for this particular project?
I would need to go back and look at the contract, Commissioner. I don't know that number off the top of my head, sir. I would need to go back and research that and bring that back to the court.
Commissioner, if you allow us, I think we can get that number before the end of Commissioner's Court. Okay?
I think purchasing has that information.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I think we can get that number, but.
As far as requesting direction and approval, I mean, we got to finish.
Right. And so with that being said, Judge, if I can just real quickly skip to item D, requesting direction approval regarding changes to modular buildings as requested by Courts Judges CC7, CC8, Master Court 1 and 2, and Child Protection Court as discussed December 18, 2012 Commissioners Court meeting. There was a discussion, Mr. Sunday, there was a discussion with respect to these proposed changes. The court, in principle, agreed, but I don't believe there was an actual action item acting on it.
Correct, Mr. Guerra. When we went back and sought to take direction from the court's opinion about, yes, please accommodate these changes, that's what the courts need to do to work within those facilities, we realized that, well, that's not an actionable item. The other issue that was determined was we realized that the scope of work was not in the architect's scope of work. These buildings were pre-engineered, they were made by Ramtech. That was in Ramtech's scope of work. First, we had to make sure that we coincided with all the guidelines for Ramtech. The next issue to be addressed is putting that into Dannenbaum's scope of work so they can issue the change directive and the cost can be determined.
Valde?
So I am asking authority for the court or action from the court with respect to those changes that were brought up. Mr. Sunny's got a list of the changes. We can provide it, we can provide it to the court, we can provide it to the auditor's office. But as I said, back in December, the court in principle said, yes, we need to finish this, let's go ahead and do it, but it was not an action item.
There's no question gotta be up par.
Right.
My concern is how much are we deviating from the initial estimated cost of the module?
We are not deviating, as Sergio said, the dollar amount that's being utilized is a dollar amount that's already been approved within the contract. And so it's just it's just like a construction contract. There is you have, for the sake of argument, Commissioner, you have X dollars and there's a percentage, and that's added on to the contract for contingency. That's already been approved.
I know that's been approved. My question is, the court was under the impression it would cost X number of dollars.
Right.
Or we keep it to that, or we overrunning the cost on that.
We'll have a, Commissioner, we'll have a number before the end of Commissioner's Court. And so
I'm
why don't we do this?
I'm interested in getting that in order to import.
Okay, then why don't we do this? Can I, at this time, let's just, I'll move on to the other items, and then we'll come back to item D, under my item.
Why do you want to come back? Why can we not act on it? I mean, we know we've got to finish, but we started.
Okay, well, again, we had
And
presented.
later on,
this-
bring Commissioner Palacios
I'll have
a
that number for
breakdown
you.
of the expenses.
Okay, I'll have that number for you before the end of Commissioner's Court.
So, are you going to take action on item B?
D.
Yes.
Oh, okay, because on B, there's no specific action that is requested.
Item D.
D, okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, item D. So, again, and under item B3, there are no emergency situations. Thank you, Mr. Sunny. There are no emergency situations occurring since last agenda meeting. So, again, we had gone to item D. If I could just have action on item D with respect to the requested changes. And as Mr. Sunny said, we still are on target for the, for everybody, for the moves this year.
All right. If there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries, matter is approved.
Okay. Judge Commissioners, if I may, I'd like to go back to item C, environmental compliance. I'm asking, or I'm requesting of the court to allow Mr. Ramirez, Martin Ramirez that is, he's our environmental compliance coordinator, to travel to Corpus, and this is to attend a smoke school visible emissions workshop. This is on January 20th through the 22nd of this year.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E, I'm asking approval to process payment of claims for RGV Educational Broadcasting, Inc., and these are for court meetings that were broadcasted in 2012. The two invoice dates are October 31st, 2012, November 30th, 2012. Respectively, they are $12,500 and $9,500. And again, those are for the months of October, November. I'm asking the court to take action, obviously with authority for the county treasurer to issue payment, and after review and auditing procedures are completed by our county auditor and his office.
Move for approval. Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge,
What
Commissioners,
about December, Randy? Is December going to be billed at a later date?
Monica,
Monica?
have we received the December 12th billing from KMBH, Rio Grande Valley Broadcasting? No. Just those two invoices? Okay. Okay. We'll follow up again with another phone call to them.
Because we're trying to close our year, so we need to
Right, no,
pay all the
yes, and I understand that this is period 13. We'll follow up again today with another phone call to KMBH. Judge, Commissioners, item F, I'm asking permission to advertise two vacant positions or positions that will become vacant. I'm trying to get the ball rolling. These are two public defenders, public defender 2 positions. They are slots 1 and 7 for the public defender's office.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Thank you. Item 8, our constable, precinct 1.
Good morning, gentlemen. Item 8, Constable Precinct 1 discussion, consideration, approval for the Hidalgo County Constable Precinct 1 continued participation in the Texas 1033 Surplus Property Program.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B, discussion, consideration, and approval to appoint Deputy Constable by Constable Celestino Avila, Constable Precinct 1 in accordance with Texas Law Government Code Section 86.011 listed below.
So moved.
Second.
Are these all reappointments, Constable?
Yes.
There's no new positions. They're the same ones you had last year, I think.
No, actually, they're also appointing the 3 from the former Precinct 5.
From Delta area.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There are 3 new positions there, Judge. Daniel Marichalar, Diomar Galvan, and Abimael Garcia. Those were former county constable precinct 5.
All right. But I mean, there's no new deputy constables being appointed.
No other ones besides those.
All right. Those in favor?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's the same ones except those three that they added from precinct 5.
Those in favor of the motion is made and seconded indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
C, this is for precinct 3 and precinct 4 also. Discussion and approval of grant extension for the local border security program expiring on January 31st, 2013.
What about the reserve deputy constable?
Skip item 2.
I'm sorry?
Oh,
I'm so sorry. Discussion and consideration and approval to appoint reserve deputy constables by Constable Avila, Constable Precinct 1, in accordance with the Texas Local Law Government Code, Section 86012, and it's listed below.
So move.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries to item 8B2 on the individuals listed. Go ahead, sir. Item C.
Yes, for C, as I was saying, it includes for Constable Precinct 4 and 3, discussion and approval of a grant extension for the local border security program expiring on January 31st, 2013, to be extended until May 31st, 2013.
So move.
And this is precinct 1, 4, and 3, you said?
Pardon me?
This is for precinct 1, precinct 4, and precinct 3?
Yes, because we're all in the same program, but it expires this January and we're requesting an extension.
Check. Thank you.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 9, our county court at law, number 8.
Judge, on that particular item, this is for the court reporters.
Yes.
The court reporter's salary are approved by the Board of Judges. Normally, the Board of Judges approve those salaries, and they bring an order to the Commissioner's Court for acceptance. The Board of Judges have not met on this particular item. They will meet on January the 31.
Somebody needs a court reporter right now, I would imagine.
Right, but the Commissioner's Court has no authority to set a salary for a court reporter.
But it's going to be subject to ratification by the Board of Judges. It's going to need their approval, but they're not going to meet until the end of the month.
Right.
The salary is within, we've looked at it, and it's within an average range. It's not that high or that low. It's right in the center.
Yeah, I don't think there's an issue with the amount. The issue is the authority that the Commissioner's Court has to set salaries for court reporters. But it's up to you to...
If you don't have a court reporter you're going to stop the operation of the courtroom. It's going to affect the public defenders, the district attorneys, the court, the judge, the coordinators, and all these people. I think we ought to just pass it subject to approval or ratification by the Board of Judges.
Is that proper, Steve?
Mr. Frosty, you did state the law correctly. Normally, the Board of Judges would act and then issue an order to the Commissioner's Court for the salary. We're doing this in reverse.
Can we table this to bring it back as a claim?
That would be my recommendation to the waiver.
But it's not a claim.
It's not a claim.
It's a salary.
It's not been approved.
It's 73,000.
Yeah, I need to go ahead and get it on the job, todo, bring it back.
But for that 1 week, I don't know if that lady or that person is going to be working, and if they're not working, it's going to affect the operation of the court.
I think that's the issue, is this person getting paid now?
Sir?
There's no one hired yet for this position. They're in the process of interviewing employees, but the understanding is they cannot start work until the Board of Judges approve the salary.
What would be the start date of the person once they're hired?
Be after this appointed, will approve the salary.
Will that be before or after the Board of Judges meets?
After.
So
where the first basically would be then.
So if the person is being interviewed and will not start work until after the Board of Judges meets.
Correct.
Then can't we delay that until the meeting
Well,
date?
but does the judge have a court reporter right now? I mean,
that's what I understand. Mr.
Why don't we
Brockman is not one.
why don't we go ahead and not take action, and then we'll check on it. Jaime, call Judge Rolando Cantu on that issue. Ask him about the court reporter. Is that person working presently or not?
No, that's not for you.
What?
It's vacant.
Why don't you come on over here?
I don't believe they've hired anyone. I spoke to Naomi DeSmith, the coordinator, and that's why they were trying to set this, because they can't hire anybody. They don't know how to, or what amount to hire her at, so.
Okay, so he
They
doesn't
needed
need
to-
one at this
Well,
particular.
he needs one, that's why
I
he
mean,
was
now,
hoping.
this week, so to speak.
Judge, if I may interject. Judge, I think the auditor's right. It's a district judge who can set the salary, but there's nothing to keep the county from contracting with a court reporter in the interim, so they could hire somebody in contract and then hire that person as an employee at a later date.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, if he's not using a court reporter at this point, we can wait until next week. Okay, item number 10, our sheriff's office.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Lieutenant Rafael Garza with the Alva County Sheriff's Office. We have one item, 3 sub-items in it. AI 36267, Sheriff's Office, 1100 cops, universal hiring 13, parentheses, 1284 grant. It's approval to redistribute the cost of allocations for various positions to cover 100% from the COPS Universal Hiring 13 grant as listed on Exhibit A, effective January the 1st, 2013. Item 2 is approval of interdepartmental transfers, and item 3 is approval of revised salary schedules.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Item 11A.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Ricardo Contreras here on behalf of Laura Hinojosa, your Hidalgo County District Clerk, and I am here to address the Odyssey Public Access Subscriber Agreement and Subscription Fee. The agreement is by and between the Honorable Arturo Guajardo Jr., Hidalgo County Clerk, and Laura Hinojosa, Hidalgo County District Clerk, and is made for the purpose of granting subscribers restricted internet access to records and case files within the clerk's file system, also known as Odyssey. Subscribers shall pay a recommended fee of $200 annually. You may ask yourselves where we came up with that figure.
Are there any questions? If there's no questions, entertain a motion to approve.
Judge, I have a concern.
Yes.
Commissioners Court of the county can only impose a fee that's allowed by statute. This agreement doesn't make a reference to a statutory required fee or any statute that allows or permits the Commissioners Court of the county to assess a fee.
And Mr. Ofracio is correct. However, statutorily, the District Clerk Office is required to pay or charge a fee for copies. So this would be in lieu of the $1 per copy, since we're now providing electronic copies.
We've got our attorney right behind you. I think he wants to state something.
Good morning, Judge. Good
Morning,
morning,
Victor.
Commissioners. Josie Ramirez in our office did review the agreement and approved it, and Mr. Contreras is correct. There is authority for the district clerk to assess fees. This is another fee that the district clerk is within her purview to assess. We can provide Mr. Ofracio with the statutory provision that allows such a fee. I think the district clerk would ask for approval subject to providing him with that fee. The alternative is that you don't charge a fee, and you provide this service to, at this time, attorneys. You're limiting it to attorneys, and the county essentially loses an opportunity to continue to generate revenues on the potential copies that are produced in utilizing the system.
I don't believe these are copies. We're talking about granting someone access to a system, right? So this is not a copy that we're charging for.
It's a subscription fee agreement, and it would be granting them access to the files, allowing them an opportunity to print copies, which we would normally assess $1 per page fee. So the fee that we're assessing is essentially a fee in lieu of the copy per page fee as an opportunity for the county to continue generating revenues rather than losing without charging a fee.
Okay, well, it's been approved by the attorney.
Just I think the attorney approved the agreement as to form, but I don't think the attorney can approve the assessment of the fee. I mean, that's the Commissioner's Court responsibility.
I think what she approved was the action itself, that if we do take it, it'd be legal. Am I correct?
That's correct. The assessing of the fee is the same statute that allows the district clerk to assess a fee for copies, which is approved by the Commissioner's Court. The dollar value of the per-page amount is approved by the Commissioner's Court. And that's what I believe Ms. Hinojosa is trying to approve here today.
All right. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve this request 11A.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge Commissioner.
Item 12.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Item 12A, I have no discussion on that item unless there's any questions. Item 12B, I just want to give a quick update. We're still waiting for a response from CMS and the HHSC at the state level on the 1115 waiver and the packet we submitted to them. We have not gotten any updates yet. Once we do, we'll report to the court, but right now we haven't received that. Moving on to item C, sir, requesting approval to process the following invoice as a claim with authority for county treasurer to issue payment after the review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by county auditor. This is in the amount of $80 for sign language services.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D, sir, is requesting approval to process the following invoices as a claim with authority for county treasurer to issue payment after review and audit and processing procedures are completed by county auditor. This is for Quest Laboratories. There are some laboratory procedures that were done after preliminary lab procedures were done, and it just automatic, so there were some fees assessed to that laboratory cost.
So moved.
Is there any way we can address these claims in the contract?
Yes, there is, sir. And I'm working with purchasing in your office to work on getting the contract amended, I think that's the right word to use. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is definitely, sir, but there's some procedural things that we need to get through.
All right, those in favor of the motion is made and seconded indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item C also is requesting approval to process the following invoices as a claim with authority for county treasurer to issue payment after review and processing procedures are completed by county auditor. And this is for interpretation services for hearing impaired clients, $625.
Second.
And on item C and B, sir, it's the same thing. There's a contract being completed, but under federal guidelines of American Disabilities Act, we still have to provide the service. But I know that the auditor's office and the purchasing department are working on finalizing that contract as well.
Those in favor of the motion is made and seconded indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, item 13, Urban County.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Our only item on the agenda today is discussion, consideration, and approval to delete the following positions. The slot number is 0001, 0002, and the third one should be G003. And these are positions that were funded through the Texas Department of Housing Community Fair Grant, which is now terminated.
Move for approval of 13A, 1 and 2.
1 and 2? Thank you.
Well, we haven't acted.
Okay.
Item 13A, are you deleting?
Yes, sir,
those?
I am.
And then under 2, you're approving the salary.
Well, I think that's just the
With the
standard.
revisions.
It's a revised salary schedule,
Revised
but it's the
salary
revision.
schedule,
Okay, does that mean it's a raise or not?
No raises, I don't no longer have the employees.
Erased.
We're just
They're
deleting them
deleted.
completely.
They're deleted,
All
yeah.
right, I know we had a discussion about whether it's a raise. You know, we're trying to be fair to everybody.
Definitely.
You know, we can't allow this deletion and creation and
No, this is
as a way of getting
totally
raises for some
deletion.
people.
We had $2 million, Judge, and we've expended the $2 million and no
Those in
longer.
favor of the motion is made and seconded indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Yvonne Ramon, Elections Administrator. Item 14A, request by the City of Edinburgh to use the Elections Department Annex Building during their early voting and on Election Day for their election to be held on May 11th, 2013. Use of the facility will keep polling locations consistent as we work towards familiarity in all elections. So we do have all the support documents that the auditors requested. We have their schedule as well as their certificate of coverage.
So moved.
Check. All right. In other words, they don't want us to run it. They want to run it themselves, but want to use the building.
Yes, sir. And last year they had a special election, and so they shared the locations, and it worked out very well. This year it's in May.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. 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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Judge, Commissioners, if I may, with your permission, for the WIC department, Ms. Norma Longa, she couldn't be with us this morning. She asked me to present for her, so we're requesting approval to submit an application for electricity services, as well as a deposit and filing fees in the amount of $125, and this is for our new Las Milpas WIC clinic. It's located at 125 East Las Milpas Road, Suite 4. This would be payable to Magic Valley Electric Corp. Inc.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. 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 Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Next item, Precinct 1.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Raul Lozano, representing AC Query, Commissioner, Precinct 1. What we're requesting approval to delete 3 positions and create 3. There's no budgetary impact. These are vacant positions that we're changing titles to better take care of our field operations for Precinct 1.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. 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 Okay. Motion carries.
Now, on number 2, we're creating the 3 positions. I don't know if that action took care of both items or...
No. No, the way you presented...
it's the deletion of the first 3 positions and creation of the 3...
I thought that's what the motion was, but now you're discussing.
On number 2.
You did both, right? Yeah. And the revised salary schedule approval?
Judge, and approval to revise the salary schedule.
Was a motion for both?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Then for the record, that did apply to both, 1 and 2.
And 3.
And 3.
And the revised schedule, approval. Okay, thank you.
Item 17.
Good morning, Judge, again, Commissioners. Raul Salguero, representing Commissioner Hector Palacios. Item 17A, Precinct 2, we brought this item last week, we're just bringing it back. Approval of the following personnel actions for the 2013 budget year. Commissioner is asking to delete 2 positions as listed for a total of $111,063 and to create 1 position at a salary of $79,750. With approval of the interdepartment transfer and the revised salary schedule. This is a minor reorganization that Commissioner is implementing in Precinct 2.
So moved.
So is that going to end up in increasing someone's salary, a person's salary?
We don't know, sir, depending on who is elected for a position. It could be a decrease in salary, an increase in salary, or no change at all.
So you're not going to move a person into the Director of Field Operations?
No, sir.
An employee?
I don't move anything.
It's going to be advertised or something?
Probably, sir. I'm not sure what Commissioner...
By taking this action, there's the savings of...
Probably will advertise it, probably, but I'm not sure.
All right. Does it apply to 3 and 4?
Yes, sir.
All right, motion to approve has been made and seconded. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Judge, item 18A is appointment of Benjamin Warsham to the commuter rail district. We've had a vacancy for quite some time, and we feel he'd be a good asset to the board.
Need a motion to approve that appointment?
Judge. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sir?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. Item 18B.
On item 18B, Judge, Commissioners, if I may present for Precinct 4, this is discussion, consideration, and approval to create the following full-time positions effective January 1st, 2013. These are 5 drainage positions: Director of Operations, Heavy Equipment Operator, Excavator, Heavy Equipment Operator, Truck Driver 3, and Truck Driver 3. with the budgeted salaries that's listed on the agenda. What occurred here, Judge Commissioners, is during the budget process, Commissioners Court approved funding for the Precinct 3 and Precinct 4 drainage positions based on the filled positions at that time. These 5 positions were unfilled. They were vacant at that time. So we proceeded to delete those off of the 2013 salary schedule during the adoption of the budget. However, after the adoption of the budget, these positions were still in the 2012 salary schedule. These positions were filled and subsequently are needed for 2013. We're just requesting that we recreate these positions and also approve to ratify the continued employment of these 5 positions as they were in 2012. Again, these positions are needed for the drainage projects. The Precinct 4 has significant drainage projects during the for the GLO accounts with those projects that will be reimbursed back to the precincts. They also have some projects, drainage projects, that they'll be doing alongside with the drainage district now that the bond referendum has passed, that they will also be seeking reimbursements from the drainage district, as well as certificate of obligation projects that they'll be receiving funding for these positions. So we're just asking that these positions be recreated back, be reinstated back into the precinct's drainage project budget.
Sergio.
Yes, sir.
Would I be able to do the same precinct 2?
Excuse me?
Would I be able to create some drainage positions in precinct 2?
Yes, if you were to need more positions within precinct 2, you would be able to create new positions, yes, sir. Again, in precinct 2, the reason why we didn't bring back the precinct 3 and the precinct 2 positions is that you didn't subsequently fill them. However, we're needing to bring this action item at this time since these positions were filled during 2012 and have continued employment through 2013. So we're just asking that we bring these back, reinstate these as of 1/1, and continue with the continued payroll for these positions.
Are these road and bridge monies, or?
These are road and bridge monies. They also do reimbursable type projects with the drainage district, with the GLO projects, and they subsequently generate revenue for the precincts. They also get reimbursed for the fuel and for the equipment use.
Thank you. Ms. Townsend?
This action should not be taking place now. Should have been done during the budgeting process.
Well, you didn't understand. We approved them in the budget cycle. What happened is they were left out when they were transferred. That's what happened. We've agreed to this long before today, and that's why I'm upset about it. These are positions that are employed. They're employees right now. They're not vacant positions. They weren't political positions. These are people that were making money out there on residual with GLO projects from federal funds and getting compensated 2 to 3 times the amount. So it's a benefit to have them there. We discussed this all through the budget cycle. This is nothing new. The problem is that we're just left out. And the reason why we didn't fill them at that point, we were in the process of filling them because we were waiting for GLO projects to be let. Now we're in that process, so we had employed them so that they can get busy on projects as opposed to just hiring them and waiting for those projects to come. Now they're here. The bulk of our bond projects are going to be done in-house so that we can stretch every dollar. So we're getting every dollar out of every employee for every hour compensated through a lot of this by the work. That's what it is.
It just seems like we dropped the ball.
Yes. Well, that's why I'm upset by it. But again, it's nothing that's new. We can go back to the minutes, and I assure you, it's what we agreed to then. It's just one of those things that just was overlooked.
Now what happens, because precinct 2 and precinct 3 kind of had the same situation?
Well, the issue was this: Precinct 1 employees goes to the drainage district. Obviously, the drainage district, we would have to increase the tax rate to be able to take all drainage employees. So Precinct 3 has always been under the general fund. So what we've been doing, being the fact that we just passed a bond issuance, we have GLO projects, the general fund was going to cover the drainage employees up until we transfer them over to the drainage districts once all assets are bought by the drainage districts. We're still in that process. We haven't crossed that bridge yet. So in lieu of that, we're going to continue building projects on reimbursable, whether it's federal funds or bond funds, and between this year to the next year and the following year is what we hope that all these employees will be where they're supposed to be as a drainage department.
All right.
Judge.
Does that motion,
I have a great concern over this item. This item calls for retroactive pay.
well, there was an error made that we're trying to correct, Mr. Gracia. I mean, these people have worked.
Right, well, let me finish, Judge. I think that you got two issues. One, services were rendered, you're saying this individual had been working there since January the 1st, but you cannot pay retroactively, so you're gonna have to pick and choose which one you're gonna violate, not paying him or retroactive pay. So, from our standpoint, I cannot approve retroactive pay.
From our standpoint, Judge, Commissioners, we don't view this as a retroactive payment. This is not, we're requesting that this be a continued employment of an existing
I mean, the check is
contract
going to be
between the
due,
county and the
you're going to be
employee.
paying it tomorrow or today or something, right?
Correct, sir. So we're requesting that there be continued employment of these positions and that these positions be reinstated as of 1/1.
But they did not exist at 1/1, Sergio. The court did not include these positions in the salary that was adopted in September 2012. So at January the 1st, these positions did not exist. So now you're going back and creating them as of January 1, but this is January the 15th.
Well, here's
So
my
it's
question. They've
retroactive.
already been compensated and paid through the Road and Bridge Fund, through
Yes,
our
sir.
Road and Bridge. So there's nothing, we don't need retro pay, do we? Can we just
This is not
create?
retro pay, again, we're
They're not-
just
they're not
seeking
getting paid
ratification
now.
of the employment of the payment that has already been made.
They have not
we
received
need to
payment
remove.
until January the 25th.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
All right. Do you want to why don't we begin again? Why don't you even make your motion as modified then?
We're requesting approval of the creation of the positions effective 1/1 and approval to ratify the continued employment of these 5 employees along with the, no action on number 3, there will be no need for a transfer, and we would request approval of the revised salary schedule.
So moved, that'd be.
That'll be 1, 2, and 4. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
So the payment will be effective today and forward? Is that what's?
1/1.
The modification or no?
Excuse me?
Again, we cannot pay retroactively, but that's fine.
No, it'll be effective now. We just,
Okay.
Okay, item 19.
Item 19 is approval to create the 2013 budget salary amounts as illustrated in Exhibit A due to data restrictions in the query that was done during the adoption of the salary schedule. These affect 33 general fund accounts for total savings in the general fund of $40,828 and the savings in other special revenue funds of $43,417. This is an administrative error that occurred during the budget, during the upload from the salary schedule to the budget application program. It picked up the incorrect salary amount, so we're asking for correction to those salary amounts, and which result in a net savings of about $83,000 to the county.
Judge?
Yes.
Some of these adjustments is going to result in a salary increase, number one. Number two is that...
It result in what?
Increasing someone's salary.
I think he said we're saving 80.
It's a net effect.
Overall, it's a savings.
Overall, it's a savings. There's 19 records within the general fund that will have slight increases from $2 to $624. Again, it picked up the grade and step pay during the conversion instead of picking up their actual salary that was in effect during that time. It picked up the
Are we
incorrect
creating
amount.
salary increases?
No, sir, this is just so that they can receive the correct 3% that they should have received because of the administrative error.
What's wrong with that?
Judge, I reviewed the supporting documentation for this item, and for the record, I'm going to state that this will result in increasing of someone's salary. If you review the documentation, it's real clearly that it's a salary increase for some. For some, it's a reduction, and I guess a reduction would be okay, but an increase in the past weeks, it had been stated that you cannot increase someone's salary
You're telling us there is no salary increase?
This is, the increase will only be for
Hold on.
the 3%.
You're saying there is no salary increase, or that there is?
There is no salary increase in excess of the 3%. If we were not to approve this, then they would have received a cost of living adjustment of less than 3%.
Judge, the other issue that I want to bring up is, we're in the third week of the year, and we're bringing back issues with the salary schedule, and I'm wondering, are there any other ones? We're in the process of doing an audit of the salaries that are going to be uploaded for the first pay period 2013, and I'm wondering, do we have any other ones? We'll find out pretty soon, but I think we need to make sure that all of those salary adjustments be done ASAP, because the budget was adopted in September 2012. That's 4 months ago.
That's correct. It was during subsequent audits that we did on these same records that we discovered this, so that's why we brought these back from the agenda.
This is kind of like that January 1st meeting, City.
Correct.
I'm not sure there has to be some kind of a formal checklist prepared that you can check things off that you need to do and make sure it gets done before we get to this stage or something. But I mean, I don't think we have a choice, Mr. President.
I'm sorry?
I don't believe we have a choice.
Well, a week or two ago, it was indicated by legal counsel that you cannot increase salaries.
But he's increasing it only to that 3%. It's not an increase. Everybody got a 3%.
Okay. All right.
That's not really the kind of pay raise that we're talking about. I mean, that's just a cost of living.
Okay.
All right. Need a motion to approve 19A?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 19B is approval of payment to TxDOT in the amount of $2,500 for the CR 825 Mile 2 West Road Drainage Ditch Project, with authority for the county treasurer and auditor to issue payment after auditing procedures have been approved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 19C is discussion, consideration, and approval to submit an economically disadvantaged counties program application and affidavit for consideration of local participation reduction on the 10th Street Extension Project, CSJ 092102-300.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
19D is approval to undesignate the amount of $4,149,673.30 in year 2013 for expenditures related to repair and maintenance of the county jail in connection with the landmark case, with approval of the appropriation of those funds for the jail repairs.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Item 20, purchasing.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, Mr. Garza.
There's nothing to present on item 20, A or B, and 20A, 1 and 2, there's nothing to present. On item 3, requesting acceptance and approval of pre-qualified firms submitting statements of qualifications for establishment of a pool as listed on the RFQ acceptance sheet attached here too, for engagement through the established statutory and local protocol on an as-needed basis per project by all county departments and or applicable programs requiring said services as set forth in the requirements stated in the county's request for qualifications packet for the following listed professional services. 3A, Architectural Services, RFQ number 2013-001-12-05-YSI. B, Engineering Services, RFQ number 2013-02-12-05-YZV. C, Engineering Services for Geotechnical and Construction Materials Testing, RFQ number 2013-003-12-05-SMA. Item D, Appraiser Services, RFQ number 2013-004-12-05-SGS. Item E is Surveyor Services, RFQ number 2012-005-12-05-MEG. And F, Construction Management Services, RFQ number 2013-006-12-12-MSS, with the effective date set for proposed pools beginning February 9th of 2013.
So moved.
Second. And these are going to be services for everything related to the county, or will it include the drainage district?
No, this is for Hidalgo County, sir.
All right, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B1 is Precinct 4, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code Section 262-024A4, professional appraisal services. And B is presentation of scoring grid.
Excuse me, we need to take action on item 1
Oh, I'm sorry.
first.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item B is presentation of scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court of the firms graded and evaluated through the county's approved pool of professional services, professional appraisal services for on-call as needed basis for precinct number 4.
So moved.
Second.
The evaluators, the firms are Leonel Garza Jr. Associates with 96, HLH Appraisal Services with 93, Professional Appraisal Services for 91, and does the court wish to rank them?
Those in favor indicate, motion has already been made. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Okay. And C is authority for the Purchasing Department to negotiate professional appraisal services contract with number 1 ranked firm, Leonel Garza.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Okay, item 2 is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code Section 262-.024A for a professional service engineering services.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B is a presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court of the firms graded and evaluated through the county's approved pool of professional engineering services. And I would like to make this clarification, Judge, if I may, for the record. This will not be for an on-call as needed basis. Rather, it is for buildings, repairs, renovations, alterations, and or additions to county-owned buildings in order to comply with occupational code for properties within precinct number 4.
Cuando tengan tiempo.
Okay, we'll do that. I think a motion has been made and seconded. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And we will rank them in the order that they have been evaluated, Judge. Halfen Associates, 98, Dannenbaum Engineering for 95, Hinojosa Engineering, 94.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And C is requesting authority for the Purchasing Department to negotiate a professional services contract with the number 1 ranked firm of Halfen Associates.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Number 3 is acceptance of proposal received from awarded vendor Facility Solution Group in the amount of $24,603.75 through the county's participation membership with Buy Board for the Hidalgo County Precinct Number 4, turnkey purchase and installation of electrical services and LED lighting at San Manuel Park, with authority to process requisition when submitted through a procurement project number 2013-039-MSS.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, and then item C is, 20C is requesting approval to reassign an evaluation committee member under the new commissioner for Precinct 1 for the purpose of evaluating the proposals received for Section 125 voluntary insurance products for Hidalgo County.
All right, who are the members now?
Judge, I don't have that information.
Do you have the one for Precinct 1?
Don't have that either.
Judge,
We're
I believe
requesting,
if you recall, y'all appointed evaluators to review the voluntary 125 cafeteria plan. Each precinct did, and I believe that what they're asking for now, and correct me if I'm wrong, is for Precinct 1 to appoint.
Right, to reappoint.
to appoint.
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right. Need a motion?
I don't even know who
There's a motion, sir.
You don't have someone in mind right now, you want to wait?
yeah, I'd rather wait, but.
Can we wait one more week to give Commissioner a chance to decide who he'd like to use?
At the wish of the court, yes, sir.
Then we'll take no action on C1.
No action on item B. Judge, I don't know if Mr. Guerra is here, but we really need to take action on an addendum that was in, and I gave it to him and don't have that information. Sergio, do you have that agenda item on the addendum?
What's the item? I don't have
Well,
it.
it's just requesting authorization to amend the contract for Dannenbaum on the proposed modular building, sir.
On the what?
On the changes that we're going to be doing for the modular building. I don't have the verbiage. I gave it to Mr. Guerra. The addendum that was placed on the beginning.
Okay, all right, sir, you want to, let's take up that addendum then, before we fin.
Do you have that?
Judge, I have one question. There is an item under 20C1B for acceptance of originally scheduled date of Wednesday, January 16 by 9:30 to change to addendum number 1 to the new acceptance date of Friday, January 18. I think we have that item on C1, 20C1B, and we also have the addendum.
All right, any questions on C1B?
What's the addendum?
I'm sorry, I don't have the information. I give it to Mr.
This is on your agenda.
C1B. If there's no questions, I entertain a motion to approve.
Okay. So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Now let's go into the addendum.
Right.
Okay, that was item B, right?
Right.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, the addendum is just requesting authorization, acceptance and approval of the amendment number 1 to AIA B-141-1997 standard form of the agreement with Dannenbaum Engineering Company for Hidalgo County Annex Modular Buildings courtroom finishes and courthouse site improvements to reflect in addition modifications to the courtroom portable buildings in the amount of $5,300.
And Judge, before a motion is made, that needs to be subject to legal review. We got an email yesterday.
Yes.
We have not seen the document, and if you can just make the motion subject to legal review.
All right, I need a motion to that effect. Approve, subject to legal review.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And B is approval for architect Dannenbaum Engineering Company to engage with Halfin Associates for engineering services for Hidalgo County Annex Modular Building, courtroom finishes, and courthouse site improvements.
Is it going to cost us more money?
No, it's inclusive of the $5,300, Judge. Is that Halfin Associates is more for structural and Dannenbaum is architectural.
All right. No questions, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And just for the record, if in fact that relates to the addendum, that would be subject to approval of the amendment to that contract.
Okay.
Thank you.
At this time, pursuant to 551-071 and 072, need a motion to proceed to closed session.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. We're now, will be in executive session. It is 12:14.
Microphone on, Judge? Microphone.
We're back in open session. Item 22 is 12:27. Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. Item 22, open session. No action on A, real estate. No action on B, pending potential. Item C, claim of Rosario Espinosa. Judge Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $7,000. If the court does entertain, for me to make an offer, it would be broken down with respect on the offer of $4,000 for property and $3,000 for BI.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item D, C 3586. I'm sorry. Item 22D, C 385612C, Mayra Y. Garcia individually and as a next friend of Daniel Garcia, a minor, versus Hidalgo County. Judge Commissioners, I want to refer back to item 7A1 and 2. 7A1, request an exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 2. Thank you.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 2 would be the engagement with the firm of Thornton and Summers with respect to the suit that I just mentioned, Judge Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, those are the only two that I have. And Monica, did we do the addendum already?
Yes.
Okay.
The what? No, you're going to hire an ad litem in the one you settled.
On the 7,000, yes.
The court.
Yes, to include the ad litem, and then I'll get with legal.
Yeah, get with Victor or somebody.
Yes, to include the ad litem.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Walden, you want to give that to Simone?
Yes, and